initial preparation or requirement gathering, by whatever name you want to call, you can call the first. Initial preparation phase, requirement gathering stage, by whatever you can call. Okay. Now, what happens here? It is actually a very top level discussion which involves the top level management from both the parties. Who are both the parties? The implementing company and the company where SAP is getting implemented. Okay. In my example, IBM and Measures XYZ Limited. So both the top level management people from both the organizations, they discuss as regards what is the business of XYZ Limited, what is the future plans, how is it doing things as of now, what is the feasibility, can Measures XYZ Limited invest on SAP, what are the modules that are going to be implemented in the first phase, or phase wise, if it wants to take up the implementation project in a phased manner, what are the initial modules that will be implemented first, and what are the other modules which are going to follow, right? How does Measures XY, what is the expectation of Measures XYZ Limited after SAP has got implemented? Clear? Now, from my company side, that is, I am from the implementing company. What do I do as a consultant, or what do I do as a person in this discussion? I think I have already used this as is somewhere earlier also. So I study the business of Measures XYZ Limited as it is now. What is the business? How is it handling? What are the business processes? What are the modules? How is it doing things? Yeah. I convert all this understanding into a to-be analysis. How does Measures XYZ Limited want to look at its business after SAP has taken over? Or after I have started using SAP, what is it, or how is it that I want my business to be or to work? How better should I perform? How is SAP helping me to perform better? Now, as a professional consultant, not everything, not every expectation of Measures XYZ Limited can be converted by SAP alone. There could be a gap between what Measures XYZ Limited has asked and what SAP can deliver. How do I address this? I also have the gap analysis. That is the gap between the expectations and the deliverable. How do I address this gap? Do I have any workarounds? Do I have any interface with which I can connect SAP so that the requirement could be met? Clear? Did you understand? Now, BBP phase, business blueprint. What happens in the space? Whatever you have discussed here, will be converted into a huge document or a voluminous document called as a business blueprint. What does this contain? It contains each and every point which has been discussed in point number 1 in my first level of discussion. Now, it is also referred to as the Bible of the project. And it is very, very confidential. It is not to be shared with anybody and everybody. This business blueprint remains between the top level management of both the companies. Now, as I said, it contains the step-by-step points which have been discussed in the initial preparation phase. And every page in this document is signed by both the parties. In this business blueprint, in this document, each and every page, this may run into thousands and thousands of pages, but each and every page is signed by the relevant authorities from both the companies. Why both the companies? At the end of the project, one should not say that no, this is not the requirement what I was asking. Messrs XYZ Limited should not say this. Oh, I had asked for something else and you have given me something else. And I, as a consulting company, should not say, oh, this is the way I have understood your requirement. So there has to be a clear understanding between what has been asked, what is the requirement, and what exactly is going to be delivered. Here, did you understand? There should be no differences between the understanding and the delivery. Here, this is the significance of your BBP phase. So after this may take a couple of months. It is not just we discussed today and tomorrow you say yes and the business blueprint gets ready by day after tomorrow and by Monday you are ready with the SAP. No. This initial discussion itself will take a couple of months. Okay, but see the seriousness. Messrs XYZ Limited has to think of so many things. It has to think about the comfort of the employees, how the employees are going to be trained on SAP, what is the methodology. Clear? So each and everything has to be analyzed from both the companies. And then and only then both of them conclude whether to go ahead with the SAP implementation or forget SAP. The decision is taken here itself. In the very first phase itself. Now, what would be the other factor? Now, I'm running a business. My turnover is 50 lakhs per annum. If I want to implement SAP, what is it that I expect from SAP so that it can improve my profits? I have earned I have the capacity to earn a revenue of 50 lakh rupees per year. Okay, so what do I see from SAP? Do I see the increase in my profitability? If I have to invest more than what I benefit, is there any point in investing on SAP? I would say, sorry, I'm not going to invest on SAP. Messrs XYZ Limited will immediately say, sorry, I cannot go ahead with SAP because so many risks. Right? So very, very in-depth, very, very critical discussions in the first phase. And once both of them agree upon certain points, It is converted into a business blueprint. Then the work of the implementing company starts. My company's job will start now. Final preparation phase, meaning, so I said in the first phase, both the companies, they decide what are the modules desired by XYZ Limited. Okay. And at a later, maybe in the second phase of the project, maybe I'll implement more and more modules depending upon how SAP has worked in the first phase of the project. So here, how many of consultants do I require to implement? So probably in the first phase, I may implement the finance, the HR, the SD, and the MM modules. Okay, in the first phase of the project, both the companies agree that the finance module, the sales and distribution module, and the HR module, and probably the material management. These modules will be implemented. The management accounting module and the production planning module, they will be done in the next phase. Clear? This is a broad conclusion, broad assumption. Now, how many consultants does each module require? Remember, I need to have ABAP and the basis consultants also. Clear? On what should I prioritize first? Is FI functionality more critical, or is the MM functionality more critical, or is the SD functionality more critical? How many consultants do I want? Okay, even among the consultants, how many senior consultants do I want? How many junior consultants do I want? So in one of the projects, let me share this experience. We had to deliver a unique requirement for one of the clients. So what happened? We didn't have that expertise within our organization. Okay. So we have, let me also give you an example. In the CO module, we have a component called as COPA, cost and profitability analysis, sub-module within the CO module. Just like you had ARAP assets under your finance, you have COPA also, COP, cost and profitability analysis. So in this particular, one of the projects wanted this COPA implementation to be done. I think it must have been in the UAE, some part of UAE. I'm not very sure if it's Dubai or no, not Dubai, some other place. Okay, there was a requirement for this component, but we didn't have the expertise in our organization. So what happened? My employer had to hire a COPA expert, COPA expert from the external market, deploy him in our project, send him to Dubai or send him to whatever UAE, right? And complete the implementation of this particular COPA. So these are the decisions what needs to be taken in the final preparation phase. So now all the discussions, whatever has happened in this phase, will get converted into SAP. All requirements get converted to SAP. So all the requirements of Messrs XYZ Limited, they take shape in SAP. So now things will start working on the SAP system. The consultants will start working on the individual modules and convert all the requirements into SAP in the SAP platform. go live? When would, see, there has to be a time limit, right? That is, by this time, I am going to give you the full-fledged SAP system so that your company, Messrs XYZ Limited employees can start working on the SAP system. Correct? So there has to be a definite date where the implementing partner starts using SAP. Date where SAP can be deployed by the implementing company and the employees can start working. Do you think it's as easy as this? Let me assume in the first phase itself, I agree upon a date saying that by 15th of August, by 15th of January 2026, Messrs XYZ Limited can go live. How have I arrived at this date? Having understood the broad requirements of XYZ Limited, I have set up this date. So I necessarily need to drive my team to meet this date. Here. Now, so what happens even before this? Cutover activities. Now, what is this cutover activities? I think by now probably you should be comfortable enough to understand that Messrs XYZ Limited is moving from a non-SAP system to a new SAP system. The movement of data. The movement of the non-SAP data to SAP. By data, I mean both the master as well as a transactional data, both. Here. So both of them have to move both the data, master as well as a transactional data. Both of them have to move from one platform to another platform. Not an easy life for our consultants, right? And this is the most toughest phase of all the phases in your SAP career as a consultant. The most toughest part of the implementation project. If I say that the consultants, they should sacrifice the sleep also during this phase, I'm not exaggerating. It is a fact. Consultants will be working round the clock, 24/7, especially in this critical activity phase. We will not be even sleeping. Yes, this is a fact. Okay. Now, what else happens? You just cannot say, okay, I have done my work in SAP and I'm going off today. It doesn't happen that way. You will have to train the end users. Train the end users, meaning train the employees of the individual departments of XYZ Limited. Let me say 3 FI consultants are employed in this project. They are working on this project for Messrs XYZ Limited. So I'm taking care of, say, consolidation and assets. One person is taking care of accounts payable. Another person is taking care of accounts receivable. Clear? So we will have our task cut out. We will have specific tasks to be done. I will be talking to the employees of a certain department. One more consultant will be talking to the concerned department. So also the other consultant. Same thing happens with the other module consultants also. Yeah. So what is the responsibility? The responsibility of us consultants is, see, after 15th of January 2026, we may or may not be available. So before that, what we need to do is we need to train the end users as to how they should operate on the SAP system, because the system will be new to them. All right. And during that, suppose say I'm talking to a person from the accounts payable. I will have to tell him how he needs to enter into the SAP system, how he needs to get into his transaction, what are the steps, what is the data that he should enter. So I have to create test documents, testing, unit testing. Not only I'm exposing you to all the terms, unit and integration. Manuals. Transactional manuals, testing manuals. Clear? So what I would be generating a document so that even in my absence, the end users can peacefully use the SAP system. Because I would have documented each and every step, each and every activity which the end user has to perform as far as his day-to-day work is concerned. So do you see, along with my work, I need to do these two duties also. Train the end users to use the SAP system, starting from the login process. Clear? And also teach him his job, how to enter the documents, how to enter the transactions. Clear? So now do you see the job of a consultant? See how challenging the jobs will be. Now, on this go live date, what exactly happens in this on this go live date, 15th of January 2026? What happens? Both the owners of the business, my company as well as Messrs XYZ, both of them, they come test the SAP system. How? They ask the user to enter a transaction and see whether SAP is throwing up errors or not throwing up errors. And if at all you have not tested the system for errors, and during this process, if the SAP system throws up some error, that will be the last day of your job. Clear? So that is why you need to test. Even before you hand over the system, you need to test so that there are no errors as far as your module is concerned, and as well as how SAP is talking to the other modules. Especially, this is a very, very critical step as far as finance module is involved. Yeah, because everything results in money. Yeah. Interesting. Now, after the project goes live, all right, what do we do? Now, Messrs XYZ Limited cannot be left high and dry. My implementing team, we just cannot walk off. We need to, this training is over. I understand. Training the end users and testing the system is over. But Will you train the end users also when you face an error? You don't do that. Suppose tomorrow on the 17th of January or even on the 20th of January, some end user faces an error. Is getting an error. Why? Carrying out a specific transaction. Who's there to resolve this? So in the very first initial discussion, this topic is also discussed. How are you going to support? How will you support my end users after you implement, after we go live? So we have a separate team called a support team. So we as consultants, what do? We do a process called as KT. What is KT? These are the terms specific to SAP. KT. What is KT? Knowledge transfer. So I have implemented SAP in XYZ Limited. So what do I? How do I download the knowledge? So once the support team is identified by my management, and if I am given the authority to download the knowledge, I carry out a process called as knowledge transfer. The support team is also consisting of SAP consultants. They are not only the end users. They are nowhere related to XYZ Limited. Of course, that arrangement can also be made. You can train some people in XYZ Limited also, so that they have their own support. Okay, but normally it is a different set of people who are consultants. So you train them whatever you have done on the SAP system, right? So that they can handle the errors much better. They are aware of the SAP, how SAP has been implemented. Now, what is the other process? Now, Mazars XYZ Limited has its office, say in Mumbai or in Kolkata or in whatever place. I have my support team based in Bengaluru. I'm working from Bangalore. Now, how do I'm a part of the support team now. Okay. How does the user let me know that there is an error in the system? So you have a support tool, in the sense you have a system by which you let me know that there is an error. It could be through a simple email. It could be through a separate support tool. So what happens? There are certain rules on which I operate the supporting function. The user may raise high priority issue, medium priority issue, or a low profile or a low priority issue. Now, what is the difference between high priority, medium priority, and low priority? The high priority issues, the issues are also called as tickets. The issues, the errors, they are also called as issues. They are also called as tickets. The errors or the issues are conveyed to the support team through a relevant support tool. The support team picks up that issue. Now, what is high priority ticket or a high priority issue? This error is stopping the whole business. See, I told you there was an incident where my vendor was not paid. The vendor for my employer was not paid. So he stopped supplying. So this issue, what was wrong with the payment, I had to resolve, or rather my team had to resolve. So this is a high priority issue, because if the vendor is not paid, he will stop my business itself, because I'll have no business without him. So such issues which stop the business itself, they are called as high priority issues. And normally, as consultants, we are given only 3 to 4 hours to resolve this issue. We are given time only for 3 to 4 hours. We should resolve this issue. The issue should be solved. Now, what is this medium priority? Medium priority issues are those wherein the solution for the issue can wait for the issue can wait to be resolved for 2 to 3 days or 4 days. Low priority issues are those which can take more than a week's time to resolve. 5 working days is your 1 week, correct? Monday to Friday. So it can take more than 5 working days also. But it cannot remain open for a very long time. No, your management will question you as to why this issue is still existing in the ticketing tool. Right? Now, do you see how the support role works? And what happens if you do not resolve within the stipulated time? Your company should pay the penalty. It's give and take. Now, if my company resolves the high priority issue within the stipulated time, I charge you extra. My charges are high. Correct? Same thing. If you do not resolve, Measures XYZ will penalize me. Give and take. Correct? So there is a reward and there is punishment also in case you do not resolve these issues. Now, how does your 3 or 4 hours start? It starts from the moment the user from Measures XYZ Limited raises this issue. So here, what happens? The support team must quickly or within the stipulated time. So the user has raised an issue somewhere in Kolkata. My Bangalore team should be intimated within 15 minutes of the Kolkata person raising that issue. Clear? So within 15 minutes, I need to accept this particular issue. My team, the relevant team, it may not necessarily be finance. It could be the ticket could be, or the issue could be pertaining to SD, MM, or to any other one. It could be a technical issue also. So it is not every time that the finance department takes up the priority 1 issues. No, it doesn't happen that. All right. So from the moment the person anywhere, I'm just giving you an example of Kolkata, Mumbai. It could be you could be supporting a project happening in US also. Right? You may be sitting in India and supporting the issues raised in the US. So how you respond? So within 15 minutes, you should respond saying that, OK, this issue has been taken up and will be handed over to the relevant team. So the user has to be informed that at least the support team is looking into my issue, is taking care of whatever I have reported. All right, so you have the time ticking in your support role at each and every moment. During our role as a support consultant, sometimes we never used to even have lunch because I used to work in the European shift. What used to happen? We used to log in by 1 p.m. Right? So suddenly there used to be a priority 1 issue, P1 issue, high priority issue. So we had to sit down and resolve the issue within 4 o'clock or even 5 o'clock. So the lunch is gone. So this is how typically your support role goes. And I will continue with this topic on Monday morning. All right. Now I'll keep quiet for 2 more minutes and then we will wind up the session for today, unless and until you have no questions. Guys, was this topic interesting? I am in Bengaluru. So how did you find the topics, students? Fantastic. So I will continue on with this interesting topic even on Monday, because I need to introduce you to a couple of more terms, right? So we'll wait for 1 more minute. If we have no questions, Kunal, can we wind up the session? Yeah, Kunal, are you there? Hi, Kunal.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can wind up the session. I think so. There's no more questions there.
Okay, we'll wind up then.
Thank you, student, for today's session. I think there is no questions, so we can wind up the session.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Somebody by name Nikitas, thank you. So we'll wind up and meet up on Monday. Have a nice weekend. Bye bye.
Thank you, sir, and thank you, student, and we will meet you on Monday.